Leonardo da Vinci, the mind that shaped the future. There is a man who saw what others could not see. While the world around him was trapped in darkness, he painted light. While others accepted limitation, he questioned everything. His notebooks contained flying machines 500 years before the first airplane. His understanding of human anatomy surpassed the doctors of his time. His art still moves millions to tears. Leonardo da Vinci didn't just live. He observed, he studied, he mastered, and in doing so, he left behind a blueprint for how to become truly exceptional. This is not about talent. This is about discipline, vision, and the relentless pursuit of understanding. Leonardo was born in 1452 in a small town near Florence, Italy. He was illegitimate, born outside of marriage. This meant he could not attend university. He could not follow the traditional paths of education. Society had already decided his limits before he could walk. But Leonardo did not accept those limits. At 14, he became an apprentice to Andrea del Verrocchio, a leading artist in Florence. While other apprentices learned to copy, Leonardo learned to see. He studied how light fell on fabric, how muscles moved beneath skin, how perspective created depth. He didn't just want to paint things, he wanted to understand them. By his 20s, he had surpassed his master. His talent was undeniable. But talent was never enough for Leonardo. He wanted knowledge. All of it. He studied mathematics, engineering, anatomy, botany, geology, music, architecture, and more. His curiosity had no boundaries. He worked for dukes and kings. He designed weapons and built stage sets. He painted some of the most famous artworks in human history: the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, the Vitruvian Man. But he also filled over 7,000 pages of notebooks with observations, inventions, and questions. Many of his projects remained unfinished. Many of his inventions were never built. But his mind never stopped working, never stopped questioning, never stopped seeking deeper truth. He died in 1519, at the age of 67. But what he left behind was not just art. It was a way of thinking, a way of living, a standard of excellence that still challenges us today. Lesson 1. Observe everything. Leonardo's genius began with a simple practice. He observed, not casual glancing, deep, focused observation. He would spend hours watching water flow, studying how it moved around rocks, how it created ripples and currents. He dissected over 30 human corpses to understand how the body actually worked, not how books said it worked, but how it truly functioned. He observed birds for years before attempting to design flying machines. He studied the way light changed throughout the day, the patterns in tree bark, the structure of flowers. Most people look but do not see. They go through life on autopilot, never truly paying attention to the world around them. Leonardo understood that mastery begins with observation. Here's what this means for you. Stop rushing. Stop scrolling mindlessly. Start noticing details. When you're in a conversation, truly listen. Don't just wait for your turn to speak. When you're working on something, study it. Understand its patterns, its principles, its deeper structure. If you want to be exceptional at anything, business, relationships, fitness, art, you must first learn to observe it deeply. Most people fail because they never truly see what's in front of them. Pause. Reflect on this. What are you missing because you're not paying attention? Lesson 2. Question everything. Leonardo asked questions constantly. Why is the sky blue? How do birds stay in the air? What makes certain faces beautiful? How does the heart pump blood? He didn't accept the answers of his time. The church said one thing. Ancient philosophers said another. Leonardo said, I will find out for myself. This made him dangerous to some, unconventional to others, but it made him free. Free from the mental prison of accepted wisdom. Free to discover truth on his own terms. In your life, you are surrounded by assumptions about what success looks like, about how relationships should work, about what's possible for you. Most of these assumptions are not based on truth. They're based on what others have repeated so many times it became accepted. Question them. Question your own beliefs. Question the advice you receive. Question the path you're on. Not from a place of cynicism, but from genuine curiosity. Are you pursuing your goals or someone else's expectations? Are your relationships built on honesty or comfortable lies? Are your habits serving your future or just comforting your present? The unexamined life is not worth living. Leonardo embodied this. He never stopped asking why. And in those questions, he found answers that changed the world. Don't be afraid to question. The truth can handle your doubts. Lesson 3. Connect different fields of knowledge. Leonardo saw no separation between art and science, between mathematics and music, between engineering and anatomy. Everything was connected. The same principles that govern the flow of water also appeared in the flow of hair in a painting. The mathematical proportions found in architecture existed in the human body. The laws of mechanics applied to both war machines and the human hand. This is what made him a genius. Not specialization, but integration. He could solve problems in one field by applying insights from another. His art was better because he understood anatomy. His engineering was better because he understood natural forms. Today, we are told to specialize. Pick one lane. Stay in your box. And yes, depth matters. But Leonardo teaches us that breadth creates breakthrough insights. Read widely. Learn about things outside your field. If you're in business, study psychology. If you're an artist, learn about science. If you work with people, understand systems thinking. The connections between different areas of knowledge are where innovation happens, where new ideas emerge, where you develop a perspective that others simply cannot access. Don't limit yourself to one domain. The world is not divided into separate subjects. It's all one interconnected system. The more you understand about different parts of it, the more powerful your thinking becomes. Cross-pollinate your knowledge. It's where genius lives. Lesson 4. Finish what matters. Let go of the rest. Leonardo left many works unfinished. Paintings abandoned. Inventions half-built. Notebooks filled with ideas never realized. Some see this as a flaw, a lack of discipline. But look closer. The works he did finish, the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, his anatomical studies, these changed history. They became immortal. Leonardo understood something crucial. Not everything deserves completion. Some projects are meant to teach you. Some ideas are meant to be explored and then released. Some pursuits are stepping stones, not destinations. He didn't finish everything. But what he chose to finish, he finished with obsessive attention to detail, with excellence, with a standard that still inspires all 500 years later. In your life, you're taught to finish everything you start, to never quit. But this is a trap. It leads to mediocrity spread across too many things. It leads to burnout on projects that don't matter. Be ruthless about what deserves your full commitment. Most things don't. Most things are just distractions dressed up as opportunities. Learn to recognize the difference between valuable exploration and wasted effort. When you find something that truly matters, a relationship, a skill, a mission, then give it everything. Pursue excellence without compromise. But don't feel guilty about abandoning what doesn't serve your highest purpose. Leonardo didn't finish everything, but he mastered what mattered. Learn to do the same. Lesson 5. Solitude is where you find clarity. Leonardo spent much of his life alone, walking through the countryside, sitting by rivers, working in his studio late into the night while others slept. This wasn't loneliness. This was necessary solitude, the space where his mind could wander freely, where he could think without interruption, where observations turned into insights. He wrote, "While you are alone, you are entirely your own master." In that solitude, he found freedom. Freedom from the opinions of others. Freedom from social performance. Freedom to pursue truth without distraction. Today, solitude is rare. We fill every moment with noise, notifications, entertainment, other people's thoughts, and lives streaming endlessly into our consciousness. We're never alone with ourselves. And because of this, we never truly know ourselves. We never develop our own thoughts, our own vision, our own inner strength. You need solitude, not all the time, but regularly. Time to think, to reflect, to process your experiences without external input. This is where clarity comes from, where you figure out what you actually believe, what you actually want, what you actually value. Silence is not empty. It's full of answers. Make time to be alone, not scrolling, not consuming, just being, walking, sitting, thinking, writing. In solitude, you become whole. Lesson 6. Master the fundamentals completely. Before Leonardo painted masterpieces, he spent years learning to mix paint, to prepare canvases, to understand perspective, to study light and shadow. The boring, fundamental skills that amateurs rush through. He didn't just learn them, he mastered them. He understood the chemistry of pigments, the mathematics of perspective, the physics of light. He went deeper into the fundamentals than anyone before him. This gave him freedom. Because he had complete control over the basics, he could innovate. He could experiment. He could break rules in ways that others couldn't, because he understood why the rules existed in the first place. Most people want advanced techniques. They want shortcuts. They want the secrets of the masters without putting in the work the masters put in. But there are no shortcuts to mastery. The fundamentals are called fundamental because everything else is built on them. If your foundation is weak, everything you build will be unstable. In fitness, master the basic movements before worrying about advanced programs. In business, understand your numbers before chasing complex strategies. In relationships, learn to communicate honestly before trying to optimize intimacy. Excellence is not built on tricks. It's built on fundamentals practiced with relentless discipline until they become automatic, until they become part of who you are. Leonardo's genius looked effortless because his fundamentals were flawless. Master the basics. Everything else will follow. Lesson 7. Your work is your message. Leonardo rarely promoted himself. He didn't need to. His work spoke louder than any words could. When he painted, the quality was undeniable. When he designed a building or a machine, the ingenuity was obvious. He let his output do the talking. He understood a truth that many today have forgotten. Your reputation is not built by what you say about yourself. It's built by what you produce. In a world obsessed with personal branding and self-promotion, this is a radical idea. But it's the truth. People will forget what you say. They will forget your marketing, your promises, your explanations. But they will never forget work that moves them. Work that solves their problems. Work that shows mastery. Stop talking about what you're going to do. Stop explaining your vision endlessly to anyone who will listen. Stop trying to convince people you're great. Just do great work. Consistently. With integrity. With attention to detail. With a commitment to excellence that cannot be ignored. The market rewards results, not intentions. Relationships deepen through actions, not words. Respect is earned through demonstration, not declaration. Leonardo didn't need to tell people he was a genius. His work proved it beyond doubt. Let your work speak. Then shut up and get back to work. Lesson 8. Perfectionism will destroy you. Excellence won't. Leonardo was known for working and reworking his paintings, adding layers, adjusting details, studying them for years. The Mona Lisa traveled with him for 16 years as he continued to refine it. But there's a difference between his approach and toxic perfectionism. Leonardo wasn't afraid of imperfection. He wasn't paralyzed by fear of judgment. He worked on pieces because he was genuinely curious about how to make them better, not because he was terrified of criticism. Perfectionism is fear-based. It's the voice that says, "This isn't good enough," before you've even started. It's the paralysis that keeps you from shipping, from sharing, from putting yourself out there. It's rooted in the need for external validation. Excellence is different. Excellence is a commitment to continuous improvement. It's doing your best with what you have, then learning and doing better next time. It's intrinsic. It's about honoring your own standards, not meeting someone else's expectations. Leonardo pursued excellence, not perfection. He knew when to declare something finished, even if it could theoretically be improved further. He knew that endless refinement without release serves no one. In your life, distinguish between these two forces. Perfectionism keeps you stuck. It tells you to wait until conditions are perfect, until you're ready, until you can't fail. That day never comes. Excellence tells you to start, to do your best right now, to learn from the outcome, to improve and try again. Perfectionism is a prison. Excellence is a practice. Choose the practice. Lesson 9. Learn directly from reality. Leonardo trusted his own eyes more than he trusted books, more than he trusted authorities, more than he trusted tradition. When scholars said the heart had 2 chambers, Leonardo dissected hearts and found 4. When conventional wisdom said one thing about water flow, he tested it and found another. When artistic tradition suggested certain techniques, he experimented and developed better ones. He learned from reality itself, not from secondary sources, not from interpretations, from direct observation and experimentation. This is a powerful lesson for today. We live in an age of infinite information, but most of it is commentary on commentary, opinions about opinions, interpretations of interpretations. Very little of it is direct experience with reality. If you want to understand business, don't just read about business. Start a business. Sell something. Fail. Try again. Learn what actually works, not what someone theorizes might work. If you want to understand relationships, don't just consume relationship advice. Engage deeply with real people. Notice what creates connection. What creates distance? Learn from your actual experiences. If you want to build strength, don't just follow programs others designed. Pay attention to how your body responds. Learn what works for your structure, your recovery, your life. Theory is useful, but reality is the ultimate teacher. And reality is always available to you if you're willing to observe it directly. Go to the source. Test things yourself. Trust your own experience. This is how Leonardo learned. This is how you learn truth. Lesson 10. Constraints force creativity. Leonardo lived in a time before electricity, before modern materials, before computers or digital tools. He had no access to the technology we take for granted. But he didn't use this as an excuse. He used it as a challenge. Constraints forced him to think creatively, to invent new techniques, to find solutions that others hadn't imagined. When he wanted to paint the Last Supper on a wall, traditional fresco technique wouldn't allow the detail and time he needed. So he invented a new method, mixing tempera with oil. It eventually deteriorated, but it allowed him to create the masterpiece. When he wanted to design flying machines, he studied bird anatomy obsessively and applied those principles to mechanical design. Limited resources forced unlimited creativity. Today, we often wait for ideal conditions, the right tools, the right budget, the right team, the right timing. And while we wait, nothing gets created. Leonardo teaches us that constraints are not obstacles. They're invitations to innovate. When you can't do things the conventional way, you're forced to think differently, to find new approaches, to develop skills and solutions that wouldn't have emerged otherwise. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Work with what you have. Let limitations guide your creativity rather than block it. Some of the most important innovations in history came from people who had no choice but to figure it out with limited resources. Use what you have. Create anyway. Lesson 11. Discipline your mind, not just your actions. Leonardo's notebooks reveal something fascinating. His mind was disciplined, focused, organized in its curiosity. He created lists of questions to investigate. He categorized his observations. He developed systematic approaches to study. He wasn't just talented. He was methodical. His genius was the result of mental discipline applied consistently over decades. Most people focus only on disciplining their actions. Waking up early, going to the gym, following schedules. And these matter. But if your mind is chaotic, distracted, reactive, your actions will eventually fall apart. True discipline starts in the mind. It's about controlling your attention, choosing what you think about, directing your focus intentionally rather than letting it be pulled by every notification, every impulse, every passing emotion. It's about training yourself to think clearly, to separate signal from noise, to recognize when your mind is running old patterns that don't serve you. Leonardo's mind was a tool he controlled, not a wild animal that controlled him. Practice mental discipline, meditation, journaling, deep reading, long walks without distraction, time spent in thought without interruption. Your mind is your most valuable asset. If you can't control it, you can't control anything else. Discipline your thoughts. Your actions will follow. Lesson 12. Leave a legacy through excellence. Leonardo never had children. He didn't build a business empire. He didn't conquer nations or accumulate wealth. But 500 years later, millions of people know his name. His work still moves people to tears. His ideas still inspire scientists and artists. His notebooks are studied with reverence. Why? Because he pursued excellence in everything he touched. Because he created work that transcended his time. Because he contributed something of lasting value to humanity. Legacy isn't about fame. It's not about being remembered. It's about the impact of your work continuing after you're gone. You don't need to be Leonardo to create a legacy. You create legacy every time you do something with care. Every time you help someone genuinely. Every time you create something that makes life better for others. A teacher who changes one student's trajectory creates legacy. A parent who raises children with wisdom creates legacy. A craftsman who builds something that lasts creates legacy. Legacy is the natural result of doing meaningful work with integrity, of choosing quality over quantity, of serving something larger than yourself. Don't chase legacy. Chase excellence. Chase meaning. Chase contribution. Legacy will take care of itself. Leonardo didn't set out to be immortal. He set out to understand and create. The immortality followed. Do work that matters. The rest will follow. Leonardo da Vinci was not superhuman. He was a man who chose to see the world differently, who chose to question rather than accept, who chose depth over surface, who chose mastery over mediocrity. He had the same hours in a day that you have. He faced uncertainty, rejection, failure. He dealt with difficult patrons, unfinished projects, and ideas that never came to fruition. But he didn't let these things stop him. He kept observing, kept learning, kept creating, kept pushing the boundaries of what was possible. And in doing so, he showed us what a human being can achieve when they refuse to settle, when they commit to excellence, when they pursue understanding with relentless curiosity. You carry that same potential, the same capacity for deep observation, for creative problem solving, for mastery, for contribution. The question is not whether you're talented enough. The question is whether you're disciplined enough, curious enough, committed enough. Will you observe the world deeply, or just glance at its surface? Will you question what you've been told, or accept it without examination? Will you pursue mastery, or settle for comfort? Will you let constraints defeat you, or use them to create something new? Will you wait for perfect conditions, or work with what you have right now? Leonardo's life is not a story to admire from a distance. It's a challenge, a standard, a reminder of what becomes possible when you refuse to accept limitation. The world doesn't need another person going through the motions. It needs people who see clearly, who think deeply, who create meaningfully. It needs you to step into your potential, not tomorrow, today. Now stop watching and go create something that matters.